Without exception, the anger from the students and staff is being directed at one man, the vice-chancellor of the ANU, Professor Ian Young. Professor Young joins me in the 7:30 studio. Professor Young, thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you, Ross.
It goes without saying, doesn't it, that you don't believe that the School of Music represented value for money?
No, that's not the case at all, Ross. What we're trying to do here is to fundamentally change the curriculum of the school to do two things: to better meet the broad range of outcomes that students desire, and secondly, and importantly, to ensure that the school has a viable funding base to go forward so that it can grow rather than continually trying to justify its existence.
But we've just heard from a whole raft of students and staff who believe that the best outcomes are what have been achieved at the moment. Are they misguided, are they?
Well, one of the things you've got to appreciate is that we're radically changing the curriculum, and indeed students in the future will probably be a different cohort of students to the ones we're seeing now. What we have at the moment is a conservatorium style of music education for students. They're essentially being trained to be performing artists, and that's a very valuable thing. But universities aren't funded to deliver that sort of education. And so what we're going to try and do is to actually develop a new curriculum which provides students with a range of outcomes. Yes, they can be performing artists, but they can also have a career as a music teacher, or indeed in music arts, or indeed in music administration. So there'll be opportunities for a broader range of students from a broader range of backgrounds to have a broad degree from the university and be able to meet their particular employment outcomes.
So why is it that all those students that we just saw, why is it that staff who have been with the School of Music for many, many years believe that this is a terrible, terrible decision?
People want to try and say, is the new proposal better or worse than the current situation? The reality is, and indeed Adrian Walter, the head of school, has said this a number of times, it's not a case of better or worse, it's actually a different education that we're proposing.
But was the old system broke?
The old system produced a particular type of student and it produced a particular type of outcome, and that is, it was very much an instructional mode of producing performance artists.
But the school had a reputation, had an outstanding reputation. You'd have to concede it's got an outstanding reputation.
I think it has a very good reputation, there's no doubt about that, and I haven't criticised the reputation of the school at all or its outcomes. The reality is, however, that what we need to be able to do is to be able to broaden the catchment of students that it takes in and to be able to develop a model which is financially viable.
So was it a bit too elitist before, do you think?
Certainly there's no doubt that one of the other advantages of our new program is that it will be able to attract students from a much broader range of socio-economic backgrounds than at present.
So it was too elitist before?
Oh, I don't think so, that's the case at all. But it's very important for us to be able to attract students from right across our society. And one of the obvious outcomes, if you have a program which is very much based on the high level of musical ability of students, is only students who have had that sort of background can enter the program.
One of the things the students obviously valued before was the one-on-one contact they had. That is going to be cut back unless students have incredibly deep pockets and can fund it themselves. True or false?
False. What happens at the present time is that students have approximately 1 hour of one-to-one tuition per week. In the new program that we're proposing, as it's proposed at the present time, they will get an allowance which will enable them to buy approximately half of that money.
$600.
That's correct, and that provides about half of that one-to-one tuition. Now, of course, one of the things that would be relatively easy to do under this model is to increase that. And in fact,
they've got to fund it themselves.
Oh, well, there's a range of ways that could be funded. And indeed, one of the suggestions that people have been putting to me is that it may well be possible to set up an endowment which actually, once invested, could provide the funds to increase that. And so it would be relatively easy, in fact, to increase it beyond the amount that they currently get. This model is very flexible and can be scaled to give those sorts of outcomes.
Professor Young, how many students have access to that sort of money, though?
But it could be an endowment provided by outside sources. So it's a possibility, for instance, just one suggestion that people have made, for the community to be able to support this, because as people have said, quite rightly, what happens within the ANU School of Music impacts on the community.
Has anyone from the community, has any private business come to you in the past 2 weeks to say we might pick up the shortfall, we'd be happy to come on board?
Not yet. It's very early on in the process yet. It's only been a week. But we have started to talk to a number of people who might be interested in this.
Just on Professor Adrian Walter, did he volunteer to go or did you ask him to go?
First of all, he hasn't gone anywhere.
He's stepping aside though, isn't he?
No, he is not. Professor Walter actually had a couple of days' leave booked this week. Adrian has been under enormous pressure and he's been dealing with many, many inquiries. He's been talking to every staff member, every student within the program. So it's a lot of pressure. And a meeting, which I wasn't at, but a meeting yesterday afternoon, Adrian and a couple of my colleagues actually agreed that it would be good for him to actually take a longer period of leave. Now,
so this was his suggestion, or was it put to him?
It was mutually decided.
Who raised it? Who said it might be a good idea for you to take a time off?
I don't know. I wasn't there. But can I say, Adrian will return when Adrian says he's ready to return. It's entirely in his hands.
But he's the architect of these changes,
Absolutely.
isn't he? Shouldn't he be there to oversee it?
But of course, we have a duty of care to our staff as well. This man has been under a lot of pressure. And so the university has to ensure that he has an opportunity to be able to recover.
Is it fair to say he's changed his mind, that he now believes that this is not the right approach?
I haven't actually talked to him about that.
Why not? Why shouldn't you? Should be. He's the man who's behind all this. He's the man wearing the flak for this.
I have a very busy schedule, as does he. As I said, he's been having many, many meetings. So I haven't had an opportunity. This only happened yesterday afternoon, and he's now decided he already had these days booked for leave. So I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that. But as I said, he's under a lot of pressure from a lot of people who are very vocal. And we need to support him through this period. He's put forward a very, very innovative way of addressing a number of challenging issues. Challenging issues, I might point out, which are not unique to ANU.
But if he's changed his mind, do you respect his decision now? Do you now think it's time to revisit the whole position?
Well, I need to, if he has changed his mind, and I'm not aware that he has, but if he has changed his mind, then I would need to talk to him and understand what his feelings are and what his comments are. And indeed, one of the opportunities of this consultation process that we're going through at the present time is to be able to see lots of different ideas about what is the best way to move forward.
Professor Young, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.